coded information, just like Job's own, in the book of Isaiah chapter 14 about Satan. Now the prophet Isaiah is speaking about a king, and he spoke about that king from the beginning to the end. He said about that king in Isaiah chapter 14 verse 4, PJ, Isaiah chapter 14, discussing about the king of Babylon, inserted in that discourse a veiled information about Satan. Now, there was actually what the king of Babylon said, and this was exactly what he was talking about. But the king of Babylon is a manifestation of a ruler. The king of Babylon is a manifestation of an unseen ruler, Satan. He's a manifestation of Satan. He's a physical king over a place called Babylon. But in that king, we see a manifestation of an invisible ruler, Satan, through the king of Babylon. So from what he said, we have picked out a satanic activity. And that satanic activity describes a characteristic of Satan and even gives us the history of Satan. In that satanic activity, we see a description, or we see a characteristic of Satan described. And even in that satanic activity, we can see the history of Satan. So on the face of it, he is not talking about Satan or the devil. What we have here is a manifestation of Satan and not a description of Satan. A manifestation of Satan, not a description. That's why I call it a characteristic of Satan. Okay, so we have a manifestation of Satan here. Now, Ezekiel also gave credence to this same analogy in Ezekiel chapter 28, verse 11. Jesus was talking, and then Peter took him. Peter took Jesus, took him aside and rebuked him. He spoke against Jesus' mission on earth. He spoke against Jesus' activity. And Jesus said to Peter, "Get thee behind me, Satan." Get thee, look at it, Mark chapter 8 verse 31. Mark chapter 8 verse 31. Was Peter Satan? Peter was Peter. But who did Jesus turn to? He turned to Peter. Hello? He turned to who? He turned to Peter. So what we see in Peter's conduct was a manifestation of Satan. What we see in Peter's conduct was a manifestation of Satan. So Jesus now spoke directly to Satan, who was manifesting through Peter. So it's the same thing that we see in Isaiah chapter 14, and it's the same thing we're going to read in Ezekiel 28. So let's see him in manifestation through a king. Every time Satan is addressed, you will always see him in manifestation through a physical ruler or through a king. Don't miss that very important detail. Somebody who is in charge of something. That's how you will always see the manifestation of Satan, through such a powerful person. Of Cyrus is what we see here, who was glorious before and all of a sudden went into transgression. So again we see a manifestation of Satan in a king. So we will see that most of the times in an authority. We will see the manifestation of Satan most of the times in an authority. So what we see in Ezekiel 28 and Isaiah 14 are figurative. What we see in Ezekiel 28 and Isaiah chapter 14 are figurative, but they are also real. They are figurative, but they are also real. Now look at how Jesus described him. Now Jesus is God's word. Jesus unveils, or Jesus explains everything to us. Jesus is the explanation of all things. Jesus gives us understanding of all things. We know that the Son of God is come and has given us an understanding that we may know him that is true, and we are in him that is true. So Jesus explains all things to us. Jesus opens our eyes to see things the way they are. In Jesus, there is no ambiguity. In Jesus, there's no trial and error. In Jesus, there are no probabilities. In Jesus, we have clarity. In Jesus, we have the express revelation of all things. So in John chapter 12, Jesus gives a description about Satan. John chapter 12 verse 31. The word prince is a Greek word that means the ruler of this world. The word prince is a Greek word that means the ruler of this world be cast out. He is called the ruler of this world. Satan is called the ruler of this world. Look at John 16:11. Of the darkness of this world is judged. You know, in our world today, prince is supposed to mean somebody who is under a king. In our present day English, that's our meaning. But you see, Jesus himself was called the Prince of Peace. And Jesus is not under anybody. So being the Prince of Peace means the ruler of peace. So we stay with Bible narrative and not today's English narrative in explaining biblical words. The ruler of peace. The one who has authority of peace. In fact, look at it. Revelation chapter 1 verse 5 and 6. Of the kings of the earth. He is the prince of the kings of the earth. It doesn't make sense in English language, but it makes sense in Bible language, because you can't be the prince of the kings. Okay? But in Bible language, he is the ruler of the kings